knees, keep back as straight as possible. Talked about it, kind of like a squat. Keep your knees bent, back straight, lift with your legs, drive through the ground. Lift on command of the firefighter who can see members of the team. Like I said, the guy at the tip of the ladder is he sees everything that's going on down the ladder, okay? And lifting should occur in unison. You don't want one guy lifting, it's kind of like having the tall guy or the short guy carrying a Stokes basket or a backboard. Somebody, if you're not all similar height and your arms don't hit at the same level, somebody's going to be carrying more weight. You can avoid that, just everybody lift in unison. And then lower the ladder using leg muscles, keeping body and feet correctly placed. Kind of goes along with the other one we had talked about. So, 10 general guidelines for safety. Let's talk about them. Drew, can you get anyone?
Lift as a team, lift knees,
What was that?
lift all at one time.
Yep, lift it all one time. Brad?
Check for overhead obstructions.
Yep. Max?
Check your ego at the door.
Yeah, I'll count it. So make sure that you use the right amount of people. Brad?
Choose the right ladder for the job.
Yep. There you go. Or that's Drew.
Okay, what's the other guy?
Got one. Yeah.
Hi, Brad.
Don't use the ladder as a tool for working.
There you go. There's 5.
For its crooks.
That was mine.
Oh.
I got it. Max?
If it's on a hill, make sure you put something under it to chalk it up. You said like a tool off the truck, like a chainsaw or something to put under it.
No, I would use a chainsaw personally, but no, I would probably try to get more along the lines of like step cribbing, or you could even use a landscaping stone. Probably not a chainsaw would be a good idea. Just my thoughts, because they could, not so much just as using the chainsaw for a chalking device, but they could probably use that chainsaw somewhere else that's more beneficial, you know? You're just taking up tools that somebody else can use. All right, Drew, what about you? You said 6 of them. That's all right, we can go back, we can cover a couple more. No big deal.
Overhead obstructions.
Coordinate ventilation with interior crews.
Yeah.
If you're using it for ventilation, and don't smash it through the window. You said that, right?
Use the ladder for its intended purposes, yeah, it kind of goes along the same thing.
Make sure the pause go on too.
Yep.
Yes, communication.
Egress communication.
Oh,
So
mhm.
coordinate with command, make sure that command knows that where you put the ladder, that is very
That's
important.
your first one.
So make sure that command knows where the ladder is,
Good morning.
and also, if you move it, make sure command knows that you moved it, or confirm with command that they want it moved, alright? So you guys kind of get the gist, you guys get the general guidelines for ladder safety.
If it's muddy, you can jam it down into the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you still have somebody button the ladder because the ground's unstable, but yes, you can.
There's another,
Oh, you always have some button.
there was some training that some guy drove a hog into the ground in front of the ladder, and he took a levy tied it around the ladder.
I think I seen
that
something
guy
like
was like a really good ladders teacher.
I don't know, but it was pretty smart,
Ladders.
so he kind of secured it, put some sand in.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I could see how that would work, yeah, for sure. Avoiding electrical hazards. Alright. So, we talked a little bit about avoiding electrical hazards. We talked about that 10-foot space, right? So, what did we talk about? Overhead obstructions?
Avoid them.
Avoid them.
All ladders are hot.
One
Yes.
person per 10 feet.
Yep.
That might be able to test me.
That might be able to test, yep. So look up again before raising the ladder, so always look up, verbalize, is there any overhead obstructions, especially if there's more than one person using the ladder? Look up, hey, you guys see anything? Talk to each other, communicate, right? And then look up again just to double check, and then make sure we keep that 10-foot distance. So we have that nice drawing there. So we have, this is gonna be a flat raise here on the left, and then on the right, that is a beam raise. That is one way that we can avoid those overhead obstructions or this power line that's right here. Obviously, you swing that up, you're gonna hit those. We raise it on the beam. You see that right there, the tip of the ladder, the butt of the ladder. They raise it on that inside beam. Call that modified raise. Modified raise. ladders will conduct electricity, especially when wet, regardless of their construction material. Doesn't matter if they're fiberglass, aluminum, or wood. All ladders will conduct electricity. Just don't mess with electricity. Bad stuff. I drew these little halyards in here. So positioning the fly section. So use ladder in accordance with departmental SOPs or manufacturer recommendations. We talked about that. Some manufacturers, it's kind of like the crux of a lot of things that we do in the fire services. This is how we use them, and it's also per manufacturer recommendations. So we have duo safeties out here on 2215 that we're going to be using. So whenever we talk about duo safeties and stuff like that, just know that what that manufacturer recommends as far as whether they want to fly in or fly out. There is pros and cons to each one, and basically the biggest one is stability of the ladder and where the strength is and where is it stronger fly in, is it stronger fly out. There's been a lot of debate of that. I've looked up information online, and there is minimal difference in how the strength of it, but don't believe it's so much just so that it would make a night or day difference for typical operations for us. And then the wood ladders, they're used fly in. That's just how they use them. That's where they're strongest at. The only downside of flying, and I'll talk to you about it right now, is if you're bringing a victim down the ladder, which one do you think is going to be smoother to use as far as bringing the victim down the ladder? Max?
Fly out.
Fly out? Why do you say that?
Well, because if you're dragging them down, they're gonna, say we're on the fly in one.
Yep.
You gotta get the victim up over that bedded fly, versus if it's fly out, they'll just kind of drop naturally and it won't hang you up.
Exactly. Yep. And that is the crux of the fly in, is if you have to use it to bring somebody down the ladder, they'll get called on that. Though one benefit of the fly in, I will say, is that the halyard is then on the outside of the ladder. Fly out, do that little halyard there, the halyard is there. So whenever you're raising a ladder, an extension ladder, and you have the fly out, you have your back to the building and you're looking up like this, right? That's given in consideration, you don't have to switch the ladder or turn it. Fly out or fly in, the one on the right, benefit of that is you can raise it, push it all the way up against the building, raise it up, lock those paws in place, pull the butt out, and it can all be done from where you can see it, right? So there's pros and cons to both. Secure tie-off halyard after placement and before climbing to prevent halyard becoming tangled. Closed halyards are already tied, right? So, we'll go to this little video here. Tying the halyard. So this is going to be a quick quote this year, okay?
The halyard's in the center. Come on. And good. Still take a big step too.
One more time.
The halyard's in the center. Come on. And good. Still take a big step too.
Alright, so. Guys got a quick down and dirty of the clove-hitch there, and that would be finished off with the safety right about in here, right?
Right.
And then see how he kept that halyard right in the middle of the rung? We want to keep that halyard right in the middle of the rung. That way we aren't tripping over it. That way we're not tripping over it on the way up or down the ladder. How can you avoid electrical hazards when raising the ladder, Brad?
You do kind of like a scene size up before you raise the ladder, and you check for where obstructions, and you make sure the area is clear of any hazards.
And then also to add to that, you can use modified beam raise.
Right.
Nope, you're right though. You're exactly right. The best thing you can do is to get the scene size up of what's going on, where you want to set up the ladder. Is there overhead obstructions? Are they wires? How should the flyer of a metal or fiberglass extension ladder be positioned, Drew?
It is getting out,
Fly out.
getting.
Fly out that in. I know what you're trying to say. So, metal, out, fly, in on the wood. Describe the process of carrying a ladder.
Does anybody use wood ladders?
Yeah, actually, I think it's LA Fire. They use all wooden ladders, I believe. I think it's either Cal Fire or LA.
Wow.
And I think it's a traditional thing because they actually service their own wooden ladders still. So they don't send them out. They have their own shop that they service all their wooden ladders at in-house. So, yeah, kind of cool, I guess, yeah. Pumper apparatus, so removing ladders from an apparatus. Ours are kind of set up like a pumper on our ladder out here. So they're stowed in the rear compartment of the truck. You slide those bad boys out, put them on your shoulder, off to the races, right? Aerial apparatus. I think what they're referring to as 3 or 4 firefighters may be required is like that 35 footer that we have on the far right side of our bed. Okay. IC or supervisor usually determines ladder and ladder placement, but you must be able to select your own. Kind of goes with saying that the supervisor, if we think about our fireground SOG, right, our St. Louis County Fireground SOG, we all have a job to do, right? Engine, truck, engine rescue, truck, right? So everybody has a job to do. The IC doesn't have to sit there and say, engine 1, I need you to do this. Engine 2, I need you to get a water supply. First truck in, I need you to do ladder work. Fourth engine in, I don't need you to get a secondary water. We know how to operate within that SOG, that's why that SOG is there. Be able to select your own ladder placement and notify command where that ladder placement is. What part of the building is it? Is it Division 2 of the Charlie side, meaning second floor on the Charlie side, right? When working on a roof or upper stories, there must be at least 2 means of escape at locations remote from each other. We talked about that, okay? So this is a bird's eye view of a commercial building, right? AC unit, this is the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. We have this side of the building ladder, this side of the building ladder, and the fire originated right here, okay? That is an ideal situation of how to ladder that building. We don't want that egress to be right here, because where's going to be the weakest point around that AC unit? Right in here. And then where are those guys going to have to go to get back on that ladder? Right there by that AC unit. Okay? Next up, when working on a roof or upper stories, yep, we just talked about that. 2 means of egress. Here's where we get into like some of the building construction and things of that nature. Residential is 10 foot per story average. Okay? Still good, Max? Awesome. Residential is 10 foot per story average. We have a lot of 2-story houses in our area, in our district. So we have here's a house, first floor, second floor. The ceiling of that first floor is going to be right about here. You're going to have a 2x10 or a 2x12 for that flooring. So let's say you have 10 foot, and then to the bottom of the windowsill, or right around this area, that second floor is going to start right around 10 feet. Okay? So that's how you kind of like look through the side of the house and understand 10 feet per story. Window floor to sill is 3 feet on average. So if we have 10 feet to the floor, and then another 3 feet, look at this, bring that up, another 3 feet here, that's 13 feet of height. Okay? And we'll talk about how ladders are measured in just a second. And then commercial is 12 foot per floor. So just think of a commercial building. They're gonna be a little bit bulkier. They're gonna have higher ceilings and the floor joists and all of the steel beams in between the floors are gonna be a little bit more beefed up. Could even be concrete floors. And then 4 foot from floor to window ceiling. Here we go. First story roof. So when selecting the right ladder, okay? So if we have a single story, like a ranch, a 16 to 20 foot ladder is gonna reach that roof. Second story window, you're gonna need a 20 to a 28 foot ladder. Second story roof is 28 to 35 foot ladder. Third story roof or window is gonna be 40 to 50 feet, and then fourth story roof is gonna be over 50 feet. Well, those last two will be taken up by, because we carry 35, right? So the highest we can get is the second story roof off of our truck without using the platform, okay? They talk about this, so set first story roof, second story window, second story roof. This is the ladder length, that is not the height of that, if that makes sense. So like your second story window, like I talked about, 10 feet plus another foot, 3, so you're looking at 12 to 15 feet to this windowsill roughly. So you're gonna need, let's see, 20 foot ladder. Because that ladder length for the first story, 16 feet, that is the ladder length. You pull that ladder out, and there's another slide, I'll see if it's next one. So you might have 16 feet this way, right? But if you pull this ladder out, so vertical, say that ladder's vertical, and we pull this ladder out now to here to create our 70 to 75 degree angle, the tip of this ladder is going to slide down, and you're really going to be at like, I think it's 13 feet or so. So you're going to lose some elevation whenever you get that angle of degree for your climbing angle. Total length of this is called the designated length. That's what I talked about. That's 16 feet of this, or 16 foot roof ladders is 16 feet long. That's not their working length, that's their designated length. Total length of a single section ladder and maximum extended length of an extension ladder. So extension ladders, that is the maximum extension you will get. So like our 24 foot extension ladder, the longest, the far from butt to tip is 24 feet. That is not the working height of the ladder. It says right there, that is not the ladder's reach. Single roof and folding ladders are required to have measured length equal to designated length. So the single roof, it's like a single ladder, just a straight ladder, a roof ladder, and folding ladders have to be equal to that length that they're measured. Extension ladders can be up to 6 inches less than the designated length. So working on the roof. We talk about ventilation, 3 and means of egress whenever it comes to working on the roof. 3 to 5 rungs beyond the roof edge. Why do you think that's important, Drew? Egress, Max?
Just to help you step on and off, give you something to kind of hold on to.
Yep.
You don't want to put all your weight above that pitching point, so if you kick it out, but it just helps you transfer from the
Absolutely.
roof to the ladder, and
Advice?
vice versa.
It also allows you to see it if you're on top of especially smoky roof.
The visibility. Yep, exactly right. Visibility, means of egress, and then making sure you can get on and off the roof easily. Ventilation. Even with the window to the upwind side. Does everybody understand what upwind side is? Does everybody understand what upriver means when we were talking about boat rescue? So like, if the stream's flowing this way, which way is upriver? This way? So if the wind's blowing this way, which way is upwind? Bingo, right? So we'll use this picture right here. The wind's blowing from left to right, let's call it from east to west. Wind's blowing from east to west. We want to set up on the upwind side. So we're going to set up on the east side of this window because when that window is broken for ventilation, the smoke and junk is going to go west. You don't want to be caught in the smoke. There's going to be heat, flames. There could be a flashover. You don't want to be caught on the downwind side of that if that wind is lapping around the corner of that house. And then the rescue. Tip below the windowsill. Why is the tip below the windowsill? Great question. It's because it's easier. It's because it's easier to get the victim out over the windowsill and onto the ladder. Building walls or parapets that extend more than 6 feet above the roof may require the use of an additional ladder to reach the roof deck. You can place a roof or a straight ladder on the roof side of the parapet and next to the extension ladder to assist firefighters to and from the roof. So we have that parapet assist device or that parapet bracket that's on our ladder right now. Basically, it's a bracket. So what we do, we can raise our area ladder up there, drop a roof ladder, 16-foot, 20-foot roof ladder over the edge of that parapet. That should get us to the deck of the roof. We have those clamps that clamp it in, secure it. You now have a secured ladder that can reach over a parapet. Okay, here it is. Maximum working heights for ladders set at a proper climbing angle. So, I looked through these and all the way down to 40 feet, right? So all the way down to 40 feet is 1 foot difference. Take a look at that. A designated ladder, that is the ladder from butt to tip, 10 feet, drops 1 foot for maximum reach. That is at that proper climbing angle of 70 to 75 degrees. So every ladder from 10 foot down to 35 feet, you will lose 1 foot of maximum reach off of that designated range. Quick and simple, kind of down and dirty. This here, 2 feet. So 40 feet and above, we don't have any 40, we don't have a banger ladder, we don't have a 50-foot banger ladder here, we don't gotta worry about that, thankfully. So basically, for us, it's from here up, that's what we worry about. So just remember, any ladder you pull off of our truck, it might be a 16-foot roof ladder, we can only reach 15 feet with it. How can you determine the appropriate size of ground ladder to use for a situation? So the things we gotta take into consideration is, what are we using it for? Is it gonna be used for roof ventilation? Is it gonna be used for means of egress off of a roof? So you have to figure out how tight the edge of that roof is, how tall the edge of that roof is, and how much higher you gotta go. That's one thing to think about. Are you gonna be doing ventilation? Is that ventilation, do you gotta go to the top of the window, right? So what is the height of the top of that window? Or are you doing a rescue? What's the sill of the window, okay? Removing ladders from the apparatus. Which ones do we have here at our apartment?
Vertical exterior rack. Right.
Every, all,
Yeah.
except that outside one.
Well,
There's a thing.
Maybe the ones on the bumper that come down, or
Yeah,
the
they come down.
crazy 24, 34 ones on the side.
They come down to like that bottom right.
Maybe that was racking on them.
I don't think we have any that just hook on the side of the truck.
We can do either. If we do, it's on 23.
Oh, we don't have any horizontal interior compartment.
We have the two right ones that I know 100% certainty that we have the vertical interior compartment because 2215 has a vertical interior compartment, and 34, 54, and 24 have that mechanical rack. So, as far as I know, the pumpers are the mechanical rack, and our trucks are the vertical interior compartment. So whenever we remove that ladders from the apparatus, we gotta know the types and lengths and locations of the ladders. We don't wanna be the guy, hey Max, go get me a 16-foot roof ladder. And you're looking underneath the chassis of the truck, seeing if we strap it on the bottom because you looked and opened every compartment, right?
I did that one time, guys.
You changing the oil under there, or you grabbing a ladder? What are you doing? So how are ladders stored and nested? So kind of know what to expect. How, for us, the big thing is where are the buttons of operation for our mechanical ladder racks? They're either on the rear of the truck, right? So it's not, do what?
Not 24, but I always have to.
Yeah.
Where's 24s at?
Behind the
It's
cab.
in the cab.
Or like in the.
On the officer side, like behind the cab somewhere.
Kind of like right there by where, the opposite of the pump panel on the cab, right?
Yeah.
So, good point to note because it doesn't matter. Those ladders could be the newest, shiniest ladders on top of the truck, but if we don't know how to lower that arm, can't even get to them. So, how one nested ladder can be removed, leaving the other one in place. A lot of them have those ratchet straps or whatever. We're gonna do the ratchet, pop the first one off. Know what ladders. So the benefit of having them in our compartment like on 15 is it says 16, 16, 24, 35. We know that. on the exterior of your truck, those numbers may be worn down. So just know what ladder you have on your truck and how they're nested in that. And then whether your extension ladders flies are inside or outside, gotta know that for whenever we pull the ladder off the truck and how we're gonna throw it. And use to secure ladders, the method to use is secure ladders in place. We talked about that, or that ratchet and then mounting bracket locations. Many departments find it a good practice to mark ladders to indicate which rungs go in or near the brackets. I believe we do that. I believe we have like a little tape or something. That way we can line them up right. Removing ladders from the apparatus. Mounted ladders. So unlatch the securing devices and lift the ladder off the bracket into the carrying position. It's talking about things that we do. It's just muscle memory. It's what we learned. It's what we train on. It's just things that we know how to do. They're just putting words with it. And then ladders in internal compartments. Open the compartment access panel. Know which compartment to open. Slide ladder out to the proper carrying point.